like to have good food. So these are the three things that keep me happy. I got Saturday off.
So you don't have to think. Just think about that. You don't have to think.
Being a teacher, not taking it very difficult.
You don't have one movie you watched more than 5 times.
Like
Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Credentials, where we uncover the stories, struggles, and strategies that shape remarkable careers beyond what's printed on a resume. I'm your host, Amosh Noy, and today I'm joined by someone who seamlessly blends the worlds of industry and academia. With over 13 years of experience in corporate sales and having engaged prior roles at top companies like Adani, Naukri.com, and LeasePlan, Dr. Stanny Dias has walked the tightrope between market demands and human understanding. He holds a Ph.D. in management and an MBA in marketing, and now serving as a marketing faculty and researcher at Christ University, Lavasa. Dr. Stanny brings a unique perspective on leadership, learning, and lifelong growth. So whether you're a student, young professional, or just someone who's curious, this one's for you. Welcome, sir. Glad to have you here.
thank you.
Yeah. I have a quick question. What's harder, pitching a business proposal or getting students to stop checking their phones in class?
If I think about it, I think the latter is more difficult. Engaging a student for 60 minutes. Corporates will tend to pretend that they're listening to you, which is not the case with students.
Well, students they just
Students
get it off.
students.
Yes. Yeah.
So the only solution that I use in my classroom is that I make the students comfortable. I tell them that you use your phones at the later part. So then they are kind of
Right.
So yeah, it's true.
If you were to rewind time and take a look at young Stan, what was he like? Class topper, backbencher, or just something else?
I talk about my early life. I come from a humble background, so my parents weren't that educated, and so I worked in my school very hard to get grades. I mean, I was bright, and post my 10th, I wanted to kind of go engineering,
Okay.
and I got a seat. I had 80%, but then my parents couldn't afford. So the next best alternative for me was to do a BSc, and I was demotivated. But then I completed, and I didn't know what life had in store for me. So students with humble backgrounds, you may not always get what you want, but that doesn't mean that you should stop. That's what I speak from my experience. Post my BSc, there was a pressure from my family to work because money matters. I had to work night shifts for almost a year. I was working with WNS, and the whole intention was not to stop learning, but to collect money for my further education. So I collected some lump sum for my MBA, and again I did well in my MBA. I was one of the first to get a placement with Adani Wilmar in Ahmedabad.
Right.
So that was somewhere around 2005 when I completed my MBA. I landed in Ahmedabad, a new city,
Yeah.
and that's been my I would say academic journey. In between, I again did an MBA. So the first one was a PGDM in marketing.
Okay.
Then I used to again pursue MBA in marketing. There's a reason for that.
What is the EG?
PGDM.
What is that?
So if you do a diploma from say an AICT approved organization, which is not the degree is not awarded by a university, then it is called as a PGDM. So even an IIM is not affiliated to a university, right? Like University of Pune or University of Kolkata. So then they issue you a postgraduate diploma in management.
Right.
So that helped me get my first corporate story.
You had a solid 10-year corporate run. So what kind of roles did you engage in during that time?
So as I told you, I got my first break with Adani Wilmar. I was placed in the institutional selling department. Uh, Working for a manufacturing firm, I soon realized that growth is a bit slow. Okay. I worked for a year and a half with Adani Wilmar, and it was a difficult stint moving out of Pune, staying by myself. And I always wanted to get into the services sector because I knew that the services sector is kind of booming. So I came back to Pune, and incidentally, that is where when you network with or you are connected with your batchmates, I got a reference that there is an opening with Naukri.com. So at that time, Naukri.com was not very well known. Internet was just proliferating. So I applied. I was not sure, but then I think that was one of the best decisions of my life to join Naukri.com. How so? Yeah, so I explained. 2006 when I joined Naukri, it was a growing company. This is maybe for the students. When you are choosing a company, try to choose a company which is in the growth phase rather than in the maturity or the decline phase. Right. Because in the roles you get, the kind of exposure that you get is bigger, and it helps you grow faster. So I got 6 promotions in 6 years, like this Naukri.com, because the company was growing exponentially. Right. And one more good thing was that in 2007 they went public. They had an IPO, and because I was at the managerial level, we got some ESOPs, which made me a good sum of money there. So I was always happy working with Naukri, and my job involved meeting head HR, decision makers, directors. Right. So that was a long stint of 6 years. I never planned when my career in Naukri began. I thought it might be max 1 year, but I ended up staying 6 years. Post that, then I've tried multiple organizations. I was working with Lease Plans, which is a Dutch MNC, part of the BW group.
What is the BW group?
Volkswagen.
Volkswagen.
Yeah. So there, my role involved corporate sales, but not to the HR community, but to the finance community. So I was meeting up the CFOs, directors, because that involved selling solutions worth croresly. So again, that was a learning to experience. I had opportunities to go abroad, so it was self-fulfilling. Maybe it didn't work out because there were some regulatory issues where GST was implemented and a lot of customers were hit. So in MNCs these things happen. The last company, corporate company I worked was Shangri-La, which was a management consulting company, right, where I had to get software for merchandise export related benefits for them. So again, I had to be the decision maker. So in my almost 11 to 12 years of corporate career, I have predominantly been into corporate sales and had team leading and all of those. But it was a learning, rewarding, and a different experience than what I'm currently doing now.
So, precisely. So, like the switch, you got into teaching now. So, what made you think like, okay, it's time for me to go to the classroom? Is this like an instantaneous decision that you made that I want to get into teaching, or was it something you've been thinking about for a while? Because to me, it sounds like you were pretty happy in the corporate world. But
yes, there are two parts to it. When I was doing my PGDF with Balaji Institute of International Business, we had expert faculties coming from the industry who had 10, 15 years of experience. They would come and they would be paid for hourly basis, 1,000, 2,000 rupees. They would share their experiences, not necessarily only teach, but what are their experiences in terms of corporate. And so I always had that back of my mind, one day I need to do something like this. So that kind of lit that small fire in me. And I started contemplating that should I actively switch my careers to teaching, because something was telling me that this is something that I like. I'll give you a reason. I'm an avid reader, so I read a lot. I'm a fast learner, and I like to explain things in simple terms. So that is what I did a SWOT analysis. I thought that maybe this is something that I want to do, but then that was not the only thing. So I thought if I have to get into teaching, I need to be a professional.
Okay.
It's not just I jump from the corporate field. So I completed my UGC MET, which is a qualifying exam to become an assistant professor. So I had to kind of go back to the academics, learn and clear. So I did that in my first round. And because I told you that I done a PGDM, it was AICT approved, but it was not UGC approved. In the sense, you need to have a MBA to do a PhD.
Okay.
So I enrolled for another. So I have two masters now. One was in international business, and the other one is from Pune University, which is into marketing. So I always wanted to pursue PhD, so I had to do a MBA marketing, and I feel everyone is a teacher. It is something that I wanted to do. So I mean I could so corporate was more of by chance. Academia is more of by choice.
Right.
Maybe and by saying that.
Is there like a difference in work-life balance between the corporate and the teaching now that you've done both?
Absolutely. Saturday off. So I do miss my Saturday, Sunday weekends. The culture is sometimes different. When I was working with LeasePlan, my CFO was a Dutch expat, and we don't have a culture of calling each other by name, by sir or ma'am.
Right.
He say call me Jack.
Right.
That's it. So there's culturally there are a lot of differences, but each industry or has its unique pluses and minuses. So I think it will not be prudent on my part to compare corporate and teaching. These are two different important streams.
Right. What were your early interests and hobbies like?
As I told you initially, I like to read. So I read a lot and in my free time.
What particular genre?
Yeah. So this is where the problem is. I don't read any particular genre.
Just read everything.
Anything that I can get my hands on, if it's a newspaper, if it's a book, if it's a blog, if I'm around and if I find a packaging material, I will start reading where, what. So it's just that maybe I am more inclined to read. So that's something that I do consciously. But in this field, I have to read a lot, either for my research or for my teaching. So that is one hobby that has stayed with me from my childhood.
Right.
Another hobby is that I follow football. So I've been watching and supporting my team from last,
Which is?
Real Madrid.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and it gives me a lot of joy. It de-stresses me because there are a lot of things which stress you in life, and this kind of takes you away from that. And I also like to have good food. So these are the three things that keep me happy.
I could help you a little otherwise on the part where the sports team doesn't stress you out, because if you're really into a sports team and this particular sport and if that team loses, generally you also tend to feel pain. At least that's what happens.
I generally maybe I look at the sportsman spirit. If the other team plays well, I just accept it. So that doesn't stress me. If my team is not giving the effort, maybe that's the only time I feel stressed. So, but sports, and I do play a lot of sports in my young age. I was a decent basketball player, but after that I did not pursue any sports. So that's one regret in life that maybe I.
So you have a PhD in management, and pursuing a PhD is obviously no small feat. So could you walk me through what that journey looked like for you? What kind of research you did, how you approached it, and what the biggest challenges were?
I'll be very honest, and I'll say that I was very fortunate to do my PhD with Christ University. I'll explain why. Maybe if I had to be in the teaching line, I need to have a PhD for my growth. That is what I mean. And I tried for a certain state university, but I wasn't getting through because of certain bureaucratic issues and all. And I found that they had a certain longer duration. So I enrolled for Christ University. At Christ University, they will equip you to research. So it is not about the degree, but it is about what they make you. in terms of how you should be a researcher. The end output of a PhD should be that the person is equipped to conduct more research, to publish more papers. So that's why I said I was very fortunate to do my PhD in the Christ University. It was not an easy journey. I'm not from the academic background. I was into the corporate. When I started, I was not sure about how to analyze data, how to. So it's something that my reading has helped me. So I read a lot of books, and it so you don't need any tutor if you can read. So that's one thing. Uh, PhD, unlike another degree, is not about attendance. It's not about exams. It's about your interest, and it's also about your persistence, and it is also about your passion to find out something new. So PhD journey itself is all about learning and evolving as a researcher.
Right. What kind of research did you specifically do?
When I enrolled or before even my PhD, I would think that a researcher is someone who is in a laboratory who is doing some experiments.
Right.
That's because the culture in India is not a research culture. Research can be in any field. It can be in philosophy, it can be in English literature, it can be in social sciences, which I am part of, or it can be pure sciences as well. Like now, the kind of research that you do in social sciences is about. It can either be an applied research where there is a problem in the society, like how maybe global warming is,
Yeah.
and what could be the effects on mankind. It could have a scientific angle or it could have a social angle to it. And if you can study that problem and come up with ways of either solving it or give some more information about it, it could help. So the end, what I feel research should do is it should add some knowledge which is actionable.
Right.
So in social sciences, the kind of research that I do on the topics that are closer to my heart are innovation management, fintech. Uh, how do people adopt new technologies?
Right.
So there are some factors which we study, and based on those factors, we give out new information, actionable information, which either the developers of the technology can use to. So to give you an example, if you want to sell a particular technology to a person, he could adopt it for the utility, or it could also be for a social angle. If that technology helps you get a status, so why do people adopt is why I mean that's part of my ongoing research, and I do a lot of study on motivation as well. Like, so there are different topics. You stick to one or two topics, and then you tend to learn more about it. That's how social sciences research kind of works.
According to you, what were some of the most defining moments in your career?
When I joined Naukri.com, I joined as an assistant manager corporate sales, and I was given a particular area. The area was Model Colony at Shivaji Nagar in Pune, and I had to reach out to multiple companies. And for that, we were given a lot of training, and for almost a month, we had mock calls so that I'm ready when I approach a corporate. Uh, the first month was very difficult. Every company, every person I went would not kind of know we have this. And I would look at my colleagues. They would come. They had also recently joined along with me. They would get a check of 1,500, 7,000 rupees. And my boss would clearly say that, I mean, I know you're working hard, but why don't you get a check? 1,500, small, that then you'll learn. But I knew that I was working hard. I knew that I was doing something right, but then patience is very important. On the 30th of the month, I still remember that customer, OCS Infotech. It was a Omani based company. He called me and I closed a deal of 1.5 lakh rupees. The kind of respect and the kind of status that I got in the organization was different. And so I felt that was something that made or it made my career. It could have been a moment where I could have been disheartened, been saved, and walked off maybe because I was too early in my career. So something that I knew that it's. I feel that if you put your efforts in the right way, the results are bound to happen. So that is something that I still vividly remember. After that, there have been so many sales. I will not speak about that. And one thing that I really learned about team work, or this is from my super boss, Pooja Gupta. She's a director of sales in LinkedIn right now. She was on a maternity leave. She joined back after, say, a year or something, and we were in our quarter four closing. So every sales organization have their Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 closing. And incidentally, Pune team was doing very well. Uh, I had done all my targets, but my immediate boss, Dennis, was not able to complete his target. So Pooja told me, let's go out today. We went for almost 10 meetings. She closed sales from 5 of those accounts. She did it not because she had to do it, but she did it for my boss.
Yeah.
So it's not about you. It's about the other person. Uh, that is something that I learned, that if you want to grow in life, you have to help others. So these are things that I cherish. I learned a lot, and post that we had a trip in Dubai. So working for a company which is growing, you get a lot of work visits. So we had international trips, domestic trips, a lot of incentives. So these are things that for me, big things don't matter. Small things is what get me joy. So this is what I kind of got from my corporate journey, like what team, how team comes first, about
Yes.
hard work, patience. That has helped.
So, so for undergraduates who've never done any sort of academic research, but they're curious to start, so what's the best way for them to begin exploring that world?
Now, maybe an undergrad student or a postgrad student who's looking at research. Research is all about scientific rigor. So there are steps that you need to follow to ensure that whatever you do is scientifically reproducible. So it cannot be that you have your way of doing and someone has another way of doing. So if you have a research methodology, every student should be very well versed with what is the research methodology. You could do an experiment in social sciences or in pure sciences, but there is a way how it has to be done so that someone else can replicate it. So that background study about research is important. Once you do that, then choosing a topic, uh, going the and no shortcuts. I mean, you cannot have shortcuts, kind of. So it is more of a process that you have to follow in research, and finally the output is what you need to publish. Now when you publish, you have to write about your findings and present it to a journal or a conference. You have to be very persuasive about what you are doing. If it solves no purpose, then it would be discarded. So if you are an upcoming researcher, you need to have a passion for research, and then you need to follow all the processes. If you are able to do that, you will end up being a good researcher. And I thoroughly believe that research should be part of undergraduate and postgraduate. So there should be a compulsory credit, and it should be meticulously kind of evaluated so that every student has that research.
Could you give an example of, say, a specific topic, how you would research it? Yeah. If be given a task. Like, say, technology adoption, you said you've done research on that.
Right.
So,
So-
how do you go about it?
So my latest paper that I published was on motivation. Theory keeps on evolving. We had a theory that Earth is stationary and the sun rotates.
Yeah.
Some researcher did a research and disproved that theory and came up that the sun is in the center and the planets are revolving. New theory states that nothing is static, even the universe, there is movement within it. So you question what is current dogma, what is the current theory. You question it. You find if there is a loophole in that, or can it be better. So you start with that premise.
Right.
So the research that I'm currently doing is on motivation. So normally we know that there are two types of motivation: intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic is something that you do for the joy and fun of it, and extrinsic is you do for a reward.
Yeah.
New research says that even extrinsic, there are levels to it.
Okay.
You either do it for a reward, you do it for because it's called as introjected motivation. You do it because of guilt or shame.
Okay.
You don't always study for good grades. You don't always study because you want, but you also study because you need to get decent 50-60% to be in a group as well. So there are levels of motivation. So I've taken that theory and then I've applied it to adoption of EVs, that is electric vehicles. So my latest research speaks, why do people adopt an EV and what are the motivations? Some could be for a reward, someone might be doing it for pure fun of, someone could be doing it because they are motivated about how the environment is. So there are different aspects. You need to find one aspect, get into the depth of it, and then kind of build upon it and then publish it. So that's how maybe I have done for my
That actually clears up a lot.
yes.
So, so you've engaged with decision makers at Fortune 500 companies. So what were some of the biggest lessons that you've learned about leadership through those interactions?
Especially being in corporate sales, there's a lot of dependency on you to get results. And we were always told, I mean, fortunately, the company that I work was run by IIM, Sanjeev Vichandanian, and IIM person. So training is something that was very important. And one thing that they told us in training was that you always follow a top-down approach. You meet the top person.
Okay.
If you want to sell something, you don't start from the bottom. You meet the right person, neither it's a yes or a no. Be assertive. So that is what helped me in terms of when I was trained. When I meet these decision makers, what I realize is that they are very focused on what they want. Every minute is important, and that is what I have also realized is that there are many things in life, but few things are important. You focus on them, and you will succeed. We tend to spend a lot of time on other trivial things.
Yes.
So this is one of my learning when I interact with these decision makers. There are many tasks to be done, but few tasks are important, and you focus only on them. For other things, you can delegate. So maybe I follow that as well. In that is one of my learnings. So when I go to my class where I predominantly teach marketing subjects to MBA students. What I try to inculcate is how it's not about the bookish knowledge that you have. It is all about the attitude that you carry in somehow how you present yourself. And what I mean, my learnings and whatever mistakes I have done, I will share with them because that is what I feel is the right way to teach them.
Right.
Theory is something today you don't need to teach a student about what Philip Kotler says. They themselves can go to the net and learn.
Yeah.
But then how do you facilitate and move them to a particular, so that's so when I have summer interns who report to me, I will ask what are you doing, how they can learn more in that stint. They learn more in that summer internship than in that 1 year in the college life. So these are the things that I have learned and I have kind of passed on to my students.
Right. Right. Okay, so we're gonna play a little game. It's a rapid fire round. So you think you're up for it?
I think I'm ready. Yeah.
Alright. Just answer as quickly as possible, and I'll engage.
How quickly is that?
So you don't have to think. Just think about that. You don't have to think.
Being a teacher, not thinking is very
No,
difficult.
you don't have to think. Like the question comes, whatever pops in your head, you have to answer. That's it.
Fine. And try.
First job ever.
WNS.
Right. Favorite food after lecture. Thing that comes to mind immediately.
Burger.
Right. Favorite moment as a teacher so far.
Convocation. Passing out students.
Right. Student moment that made you proud.
A student who had behavioral issue
Right.
when he changed around made me proud that all our teachers were able to change him. So that I remember. Those moments I do remember.
One book every student should read. What's the first book that came to mind?
First book, your textbooks.
Okay. Most underrated soft skill in business today.
Patience is a skill.
Yes, it is.
Gen Z's lack patience.
And attention span.
Yes.
One piece of advice you give to your 22-year-old self.
Work on yourself.
Right. One movie you watched more than 5 times.
Silent.
One app on your phone you cannot live without.
A reading app like a WPS where I read a lot of books. So without that, I'm anywhere.
Dogs, cats, or either.
I had a cat and a dog. No, it's difficult.
Okay, no, choose one.
Choose one. Maybe a cat.
Okay, why?
Low maintenance.
So, in your experience, what are some of the most common mistakes young professionals or students make when they try to build a personal brand or while just entering the corporate space?
One thing that I've read about and which most people tend to underestimate is knowing yourself.
Okay.
I may perceive myself to be something and others perceive me to be. So I may perceive myself to be sporty,
Right.
whereas the others perceive me not to be sporty.
Right.
So sometimes knowing yourself is very important.
Okay.
For that, you have to reach out to others and actually ask them.
Right.
Once you know your own strengths, then build upon them. So maybe a lot of students have a different perception about themselves, which may not be their true self. So sometimes knowing yourself will really help you because when the going gets tough, it's no. So when you know yourself, you will endure.
Okay.
So that's one common mistake, and then spend a lot of time on yourself, upgrading yourself, either soft skills, hard skills, doing whatever it takes to make you a better person. So maybe if you do that, a lot of people will value you. When they value you, you will always grow. So professionally, personally. So these are the two things that I normally recommend my students to kind of meditate, introspect about your own self. Know yourself better.
You shouldn't stop learning. Like you have to continue learning no matter what.
Learning is a term which you do your entire life. The moment you think you know everything, it could be the start of your downfall. Yes.
Yeah.
Cliche but true.
Yeah. Last question. One tip to survive in this competitive world.
I'm no expert, but then I'll give my point of view. One tip I would say is believe in yourself. When I say believe in yourself, you work hard on yourself, you become something and then follow it through to the end. A lot of people start something and then they quit midway. They're just about or closer to success than failure. And maybe that's the only tip that I give. You will find your way through whatever comes across. So if you believe you can do it, it's possible. That's the only tip.
Okay.
Great talk.
Dr. Stanny, thank you so much for joining me on Beyond the Trenches. You've shown us that learning never really stops and it's okay to take unexpected turns in our career. I know a lot of students will walk away from this conversation feeling more grounded and motivated. And thank you again for being so generous with your time and sharing your experiences with us.
Thank you.
And to everyone watching, if this episode made you think, inspired you, or just gave you a fresh perspective, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our official YouTube channel. There's more coming your way. I'm your host, Amok Shinoy, and I will see you in the next one.